Hey guys! As some of you may know, especially if you follow my Twitter or Instagram, I do this thing called Larping. I recently started it about a year and a half ago when a Larp that a couple of my friends had recommended me to decided to hold this evening ball. I mean, technically I was at a Larp when I was a baby, but I can't remember that, so it was originally intended as just one event until I'd finished my studies and my son was old enough that I could go to day games or weekend games without needing to get anybody to look after him. Instead, what happened was, this is fun. It gives me a creative outlet outside of study. I need to go to the weekend game. And so I did. The character I played at the ball had been an NPC. Let me just interrupt for a second. Larping's usually split up into two different groups. There are the players who don't know anything about the overarching plot and they react to things that the crew do, who are masterminded by the GMs, and they usually have some kind of objective they need to get across that furthers either a player's individual plot or the overarching plot of the game. All that aside, I joined the next weekend game as crew, which meant I got to play a huge range of characters, including the NPC that I'd played at the ball, which was really fun. And I did that for 2 more weekend games and another ball until more player spots opened up and I leapt headfirst into the ranks of player. For anybody who's a little bit confused about what LARPing actually is, it's not just fighting. There's character interactions, there's a lot of improv. It's essentially, if you imagine, usually you've got the audience and you've got the stage, and the audience watches what happens on the stage, and that might be some kind of pre-scripted thing, or it might be improvisation, possibly with a theme or something like that. What LARPing does is it takes the audience and it takes the actors and it combines them into the same thing. So people get a truly interactive experience of playing a character and having all the other characters react to that. It is all improv, but there are usually some kind of rules to define the world so that everybody's on the same page. So for example, the LARP that I'm doing is in the 1600s Musketeers France, and everybody knows with combat, with stuff like that, there are clearly defined rules of what you see is what you get. So if you want to fight with a rapier or something like that, you have to actually be good at fighting with a rapier to be able to have a character who is good at fighting with a rapier, and that kind of thing. So it's such a rich and vivid world. People tend to throw themselves full into their characters. They throw themselves into the conversations, the drama, the emotions. And so, after a weekend of being in the LARP headspace, all of a sudden it's over. And it's another 6 months until the next event. That's where the Larpover enters. After spending hours inside a vivid and exciting world with believable characters and highly emotionally charged scenes, coming back into the real world can seem a little dull, like it's missing something. And coming straight cold turkey back into it can take a little bit of adjustment. After having played both crew and player characters, the player experience of the Larpover is about 10 times more intense. I figured out that I spent about 26 hours in character over the course of the weekend, which is kind of crazy because that's between 60 and 70% of the time I was actually there, and the rest of it was spent either sleeping or just preparing for the day. As crew, there's a chance for out-of-character downtime, and unless it's a reoccurring NPC, there's less of a chance to get attached to each of the characters. As a player character, I found that the longer I spent in character, the longer I kind of got emotionally invested in what my character's future was going to be like, and what would happen in the future of their plot, and I became more invested in the characters around me as well. As a new cadet of the Musketeers, I really had a chance to bond with the people I fought beside. There was such an amazing sense of camaraderie within the Musketeers, and so much laughter followed by quips and then intense fighting scenes, and we really had to look out for each other and have each other's backs. I think something to do with the relaxed downtime followed by intense action scenes, mixed with the strong sense of belonging and intriguing plot, can lead to a strange, melancholy emptiness when it's time to return back to real life. Especially as some very real friendships can spring from spending so much time with other people, and then suddenly they're not around, and everyone's got to return back to their respective lives. Something else that I find that comes with the Larpover, aside from the self-inflicted tiredness of course, is that the action really makes an impact on what sticks in the mind. So for a few days afterwards, I'll see out of the corner of my eye rapiers when they're really umbrellas, and I'll see hats as feathered and flamboyant and from 1620s France. And it affects my muscle memory. I have found myself reaching for a rapier that wasn't at my hip anymore because people don't usually carry rapiers around. Not usually. I think they'd get in trouble if they did. And slowly everything adjusts back to the far less exciting real world. But I don't think the Larpover truly ends. I miss playing my character, and I miss the character relationships and emotions that come with it. On some levels, I think it's actually kind of good that my real life isn't quite as dramatic or exciting as my characters. Larping gives me a chance for self-reflection based on how I portray my own character, but on other levels, the high from such a vivid and exciting world is really hard to come down from. Maybe it'll be different when I have time to do more than one LARP, but one thing's for sure, it's worth the Larpover. It's always worth the Larpover.
A little bit magic, a little bit uncontrolled.